Breath of the Wild, a game that I regard almost as little as The Adventure of Link. In general, it is a good game, just not a good Zelda game. It sacrificed what made other Zelda games so great just for the open world gimmick, and it could have been so much better. Right off the bat, when you're thrown into the main world, it does look visually pleasing, with great detail in the grass and the water, but it also feels empty and desolate like a ghost town. It honestly feels like playing a glorified tech demo of Ocarina of Time in Unreal Engine. I know the developers put a lot of effort into this game's overworld, but visuals aren't what makes exploring the overworld in Zelda games fun. You also have to have nice accompanying music to go with it, like the Hyrule Field theme from Twilight Princess, the Great Sea theme from the Wind Waker, or even Termina Field from Majora's Mask. I mean, the ambient music in this game's overworld is really nice, it's just it doesn't give you that thrill of adventure like the other Zelda overworld themes do. One thing I would have added to this game is the ability to summon your horse from anywhere in the overworld like in other Zelda games. I mean, you can't do this in Breath of the Wild. I know you can go to a stable to make your horse spawn there, no matter where that horse is on the map, but there's not a lot of stables in the overworld to do that. You'll be spending most of your time walking in the overworld, unless you've activated a nearby shrine. And when you first get into Hyrule Field and have to go to Kakariko Village, there's barely any horses on the trail there, and there's no stables nearby either. So it's a long journey on foot. It would have been cool if you could use your new whistle ability to call your horse to you wherever you are on the map without relying on you to find a stable. Also, another issue I had with this game's overworld was its uninteresting NPCs. The only one that really caught my attention was the old man you meet at the beginning of the game. He's a recurring character at the beginning of the game and seems mysterious and has an interesting backstory about himself, and then later it's revealed that he's actually the deceased spirit of the King of Hyrule. Now that's an interesting character.
Now then, the time has come to show you who I truly am. I was King Rome Bosphoramos Hyrule. I was the last leader of Hyrule, a kingdom which no longer exists.
After that, when you're thrown to Hyrule, there's really nothing interesting to look at in the overworld except for a couple of deer and rabbits. I mean, you don't have characters like Kaepora greeting you outside of Kokiri Forest like an Ocarina of Time. Or the mailman hunting you down like in Twilight Princess. And when you do get to the first major town in the game, Rito Village, even that place feels like a ghost town. The only NPCs there are the ones running the shops and the kids singing that song. It's not as interesting as Kokiri Forest from Ocarina of Time or Outset Island from Wind Waker. I mean, in Ocarina of Time's Kokiri Forest, you had Mino and Mito, that one Kokiri in front of the rocks, and your best friend Saria waiting for you at the beginning of the game. And in Wind Waker's Outset Island, you had the short-tempered sturgeon, his more energetic brother Orca, and even that one NPC you can give pigs to get rupees. And I mean, that's it. All of this focus on the visuals for the overworld, and it's just so boring. It gets boring to run around Hyrule after just 5 minutes. The towns are desolate compared to other Zelda games, and the shrines are the only noticeable landmark, and I can guarantee you that after completing all 120 shrines of the game, that you won't replay this game again. There's no replayability after that. Speaking of shrines, did I mention that these shrines were one of the reasons I don't play this game anymore? The fact that these shrines were this game's excuse for a dungeon really disappointed me. And the actual dungeons for this game, the Divine Beasts, were also a major blunder. Every good dungeon in a Zelda game, it takes at least 15 to 20 minutes to complete. In this game, it takes just 5 minutes. 5 minutes to complete a dungeon if you know what you're doing. There's only one puzzle to solve for each dungeon, and it's made up of multiple mini puzzles. And that's it. You also don't even get a dungeon-specific item that's used to beat the boss of the dungeon like other Zelda games. Most of the boss fights in this game, which sucked by the way, required you to rely on arrows to beat them. Take the Water Blight Ganon boss fight for example. In the second phase of this boss fight, you can only stun him by shooting him in the eye with an arrow, and to make things worse, he throws these ice cubes at you that you can't even get rid of without arrows. So if you run out of the arrows in the boss fight, you're gonna have a real hard time beating it. An example of a good Zelda dungeon is the Arbiter's Grounds dungeon from Zelda Twilight Princess. You have more than one puzzle to solve in this dungeon, like getting back the flames for the torches from the poles to open a gate, kind of like the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time. You also get a cool mini boss fight with Death's Sword, and when you finish that, you get this dungeon's item, the Spinner. This amazing item lets you reach places you couldn't reach before, has cool puzzles you can solve with it, and it even ties in with this dungeon's amazing boss, Stallard. This spectacular boss's second phase has you utilize the spinner to chase him around a giant pillar and then ram into him to knock him to the ground and damage him. In Breath of the Wild, you just get a boss that's based on an element: fire, water, wind, and lightning. They all annoyingly teleport around the arena, and even the music for each boss fight sucks. It's the same for each one, just themed differently. What happened to the good boss battle theme songs? We had the over-the-top boss fight with Coloctus and Skyward Sword, and the climactic boss fight with Argarok in Twilight Princess. Boss fights used to be so much more fun and creative in other Zelda games, unlike Breath of the Wild. Remember when I said there was no dungeon-specific item you could get for the dungeon in this game? That's what made the boss fights in other Zelda games so much more memorable. In Wind Waker, for example, for the Goma boss fight, you have to use that dungeon's item, the grappling hook, to grapple onto Valu's tail and make him drop a giant sheet of bedrock on Goma to crack its shell. And in my favorite boss fight for Ocarina of Time, Twin Rova, you have to use that dungeon's item, the Mirror Shield, to reflect the beams of fire and ice at the wits of the opposite element to damage them. In Breath of the Wild, it's just shoot the enemy in the eye with an arrow to stun them, or dodge their attack to parry them. There's nothing creative about it. The new mechanic where items break in this game also irritated me. Swords and shields break way too easily in this game, and if you don't carry enough with you, you'll have to either scavenge weapons around the field or run away. A perfect example for how annoying this mechanic is the Sword of the Six Sages from Zelda Twilight Princess. First off, you need the Super Smash Bros. Ganondorf amiibo to get it. Second, it's random. You're not guaranteed to get it when you scan the amiibo right away. It takes like 20 tries to get it. You can use it for a little while, but then it just breaks afterwards, and you'll have to wait another day to do it again. Same thing goes for the big Goron sword. You need a certain amiibo to get it, and after using it for a little while, it just breaks. Items like those should not break even if they're rare. And the Master Sword, the sword that's supposed to be the best one in the game, this game managed to make that difficult to get as well. In other Zelda games, like Ocarina of Time, when you find the Master Sword for the first time, you can pick it up right away. In this game, when you find it, you need to have 14 full heart containers to get it, because they added this stupid obstacle where pulling the Master Sword drains Link's energy. In Ocarina of Time, you could get the Master Sword with just 5 heart containers, not 14, and when you do finally get the Master Sword in this game, it loses its power after using it on a couple of enemies, and you can't use it again for another 15 minutes. When in any Zelda game, when you get the Master Sword to its full strength, does it lose its power again after using it only for a little bit? Only in this game, not in Wind Waker, not in Twilight Princess, just this game. And to top it off, this isn't even supposed to be the full potential of the Master Sword in this game. It only uses its full strength when you're fighting one of the Divine Beast bosses or when you're fighting Calamity Ganon. If you want to have the Master Sword full strength all the time, you had to go through the Trial of the Sword challenge, which is paid DLC. And remember when I said shields break easily in this game too? Well, this game managed to do the same thing with the best shield in the game, the Hylian shield. This was the most iconic shield in the series, the one that was supposed to be the best in each game, and it just breaks in this game. I'll admit, it does last a long time before it breaks, but when it does finally break, you have to go through this stupid side quest to help rebuild Terrytown, and then get this one guy to sell the shield for you for 3,000 rupees. I'm actually glad that Twilight Princess didn't use this stupid shield breaking mechanic in the final game, like they teased in the E3 trailer for the game, where it said shields will shatter, because if they did, that game would have been a lot more annoying to play. I remember getting the Hylian shield in Zelda Skyward Sword. You had to go through that stupid boss rush challenge and fight the most annoying boss in the game, the Imprisoned, twice. And when you do finally get the shield, it's the best one in the game, stands up to all types of attacks, and is indestructible. What does this game do with the Hylian shield? It lasts a long time, but then when it breaks, you have to spend 3,000 rupees to get it again. Why couldn't they just make the shield indestructible like in every other Zelda game? Rupees were also another major issue in this game. It used to be so much easier to collect rupees in other Zelda games. In Wind Waker, for example, you could get rupees from chests in dungeons, or even crystal balls that are dropped by enemies when you defeat them. And in Twilight Princess, the dungeons in that game had plenty of chests that either give you 10 rupees or even 50 if you get lucky. Even in Ocarina of Time, it was easy to get rupees. All you had to do was just break a bunch of jars. Like in Castletown, for instance, you can go in and out of that room at the beginning of the game to fill up your wallet in just 5 minutes. In Breath of the Wild, however, you'll be lucky to find a blue rupee underneath a rock, and the only thing monsters drop when you beat them is a couple of monster parts that you can only sell for 10 rupees. If you really want to get rupees in Breath of the Wild, you need to make elixirs made from monster parts that you get by beating tougher enemies like Lynels. The only problem with this is, Lynels are very tough to beat. You need to get 4 of their guts plus a critter to make an elixir that you can sell for enough rupees, and when you do beat one, you have to wait for the next blood moon for it to respawn, which is like 5 hours of in-game time. It's too much grinding and not enough rupees. Remember when I said you need to rely on arrows if you want to do good in boss fights in this game? Yeah, this game makes it hard to get arrows as well. In games like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess, you can get at least 30 arrows for 60 rupees, and you can even find them in barrels just lying around. But in this game, you can only get like 5 arrows for 30 rupees, you can't find them in barrels lying around, and the fire, ice, and electric arrows cost even more and are even harder to find. Another thing that's missing in this game is parry attacks. In games like Twilight Princess, you had stylish moves like the ending blow, the helm splitter, and the backslice. None of those moves, not even the ending blow, are present in this game. While the new abilities Perfect Guard and Perfect Dodge are nice, where the game slows down time if you execute it properly to give you an opening to strike, it's not as cool as moves like the Jump Strike or the Mortal Draw in Twilight Princess. Most of the combat in this game is just jump at the right time to dodge an enemy's attack or guard at the right time to parry them. There's really nothing creative here. Even the main areas in this game aren't fun to explore. They're all just traditional biomes like in Super Mario 64. I mean, in this game you have your traditional snow level, Rito Village, your traditional fire level, Goron City, and your traditional water level, Zora's Domain. At least with Zora's Domain in this game, they did a little more to it than just make it look like another water level. It has a nice pristine palace aesthetic to it, and the rainy ambience that's at the beginning of it makes it feel even more atmospheric. It's kind of like Zora's Domain and Majora's Mask. It looks like a musical theater, something that's not just another water level. It's just too bad the other levels in this game didn't do what Zora's Domain did. A perfect example of a non-traditional level that's fun and creative will be the City in the Sky from Twilight Princess. Yes, I know I'm referencing that game a lot, but it's because the dungeons in that game are just so good. In this dungeon, you're taken to a giant city floating above the sky that uses the wind aesthetic in a way that's better than the Wind Temple in Zelda Wind Waker. And when you get the double claw shot item from this dungeon, that's where the real fun exploration begins. You can climb giant shafts by going from wall to wall with the claw shots. The boss fight with Argorok was amazing. It's nice to have something more refreshing in a Zelda game than just another fire water level. This City in the Sky dungeon was great. Even the Palace of Twilight was great. And one of my favorite dungeons from Wind Waker was the Tower of the Gods. Something that's not just another biome like in Breath of the Wild. And the music in this game didn't stand out that much to me either. Like I said before, the overworld music wasn't as good as in other Zelda games, and not even the music for each area in the game was that great either. I'm not saying that all the areas in this game should have just had music remixed from other Zelda games, but the remixes were certainly better than the music we got in this game. One of the areas with the worst music in this game had to be Goron City. With how bad the music in this area is, it would have been better to just have a remix of Goron City from Ocarina of Time. I mean, the music in this area is just so wretched. It almost sounds as bad as the area music for the Dayran area in Metroid Dread. The areas in this game that reuse music from other Zelda games, like how Rito Village reused the Dragon Roost Island theme from Wind Waker, was certainly better than the music we got in areas like Gerudo Town. Even though I said the ambient music for this game's overworld wasn't as great as other Zelda games, it's really the only music in this game that I can tolerate listening to. I mean, the music that plays when you're in a shrine is so obnoxious to listen to, and the music for each boss fight, like I said before, it's the same for each one, just themed differently. It's really hard to get into the music in this game. Finally, there's the final boss in this game, specifically the second part of it. I don't mention the first part of this boss fight, Calamity Ganon, because that's once again another shoot to stun then dodge to parry boss. I'm more focused on the severely disappointing second phase of this boss fight, Hatred and Malice Incarnate Dark Beast Ganon. While it is a step above the first phase, since you get the Bow of Light, it's yet another boss fight where you have to rely on arrows to beat it. The only plus is you get infinite light arrows. But still, this boss only has one attack, a laser beam that can annoyingly kill in one hit, and that's it. It barely even moves, and if it doesn't see you and you're right behind it, it'll keep firing its laser beam at nothing. It's like this part of the boss fight wasn't even finished with programming. I guess it's nice they have multiple weak points to strike instead of just the eye, but they could have even gone the route with the Bayonetta games where you could even climb the enemy and strike a weak point there, but instead it's once again just another boss fight where you have to rely on arrows to beat it. A good boss fight has more creative ways to beat the boss and utilizes certain items in different ways to make it more fun and challenging. A much better example for a final boss fight in a Zelda game would be Demise in Skyward Sword. In that boss fight's second phase, you have to use the game's main mechanic of raising your sword skyward to catch bolts of lightning that you can use to damage him. If only this game could have done the same. If only. Well, that's what I thought about this game. It makes for a great open world game, but like I said before, it's just not a good Zelda game. While this game's sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, did a lot better in areas like boss fights and making it easier to get more weapons if you run out, it still won't hold up against games like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Sure, in this game and its sequel, there are a lot of things to do in this game with side quests and collecting stuff, but most of them just aren't worth it, especially collecting all the Korok seeds. A fetch quest that gets you nothing but a golden piece of crap is just an insult to the players who spent all their time getting those quests done. My hope for the next main Zelda game that we get is that it doesn't go down the road of an open world game, but instead gives us a game that Zelda is known for. That is dungeons with fun puzzles to solve, items to get in those dungeons that you can solve more puzzles with and beat the boss with, colorful characters like Tingle and Beetle, and a story that isn't told through memories that you have to collect, but instead in cutscenes that you experience as you play through the game. That's my hope for future Zelda games. Thank you so much, fella, for watching the video. If you liked it, consider hitting subscribe and let me know what you think makes a great Zelda game. Until next time, bye-bye!